Okay. This episode of Merely a Setback is brought to you by Fordragon Snow Cone Stand. Fordragon Snow Cone Stand. Eat them quick before they melt in dragon fire!
It's time to get your battle text scrolling and that trade chat trolling, and buckle up for the podcast about storytelling in the world of Warcraft. This is Merely a Setback.
Greetings, lorewalkers, and welcome to Merely a Setback, a podcast about storytelling in the world of Warcraft. My name is Sharku, and I'm coming to you live from my podcasting perch high in the mountains of North Carolina. I'm also a player on the Convert to Raid Battle.net News, a raid leader for the Asparagus Initiative, and a member of the CTR community at large. And joining me, as always, are at least one of our Merely a Setback lore masters from Austin, Texas, where he's wearing cowboy hats and bringing the cows home to pasture down yonder. It's Jared.
Hey everyone.
Hey, hi, back. Jared. How are the cows? I don't know why I always have to make fun of Texas for some reason.
It's along the same lines as making fun of Canada, except hot instead of cold.
Yeah, but there's that, our former presidents all don't mess with Texas, and I'm like, but I think that's probably why. I'm like, you can't tell me what to do, George W. Bush.
Littering. Like, you're not supposed to litter here, but you can still.
Was that what he was? That was in reference?
That's
to?
the whole slogan. That's
don't mess
the
with
whole
Texas?
"Don't mess with Texas" thing is don't litter. Like, it's posted on every highway.
I thought it was just.
Texas.
I thought it was just
Don't
me.
mess with Texas.
Don't mess with Texas. All right.
No.
Anyway, but really don't. I mean, Texas is a fine
fantastic.
place. It's a fine place.
We're absolutely fantastic. And our our boots and hats and our horses and everything,
are the best.
They're all the best. It's
good.
Top notch.
That's true. I make fun of Canada a lot here. I think I just make fun of places where my co-hosts are from. I don't know why.
Yeah. It's easy target.
I guess so. I don't regret it at all. But here we are. We're back. We're doing a podcast. We're doing a show. Shoe Boots is not with us this week because decided to go to Hawaii,
where it is very not hot.
He left. He abandoned Canada on Canada Day, and is spending the 4th of July in Hawaii, in American Independence Day, in America, because I think he's just jealous. I think that's the truth. Speaking of making fun of Canada.
He's got to get at least one Canada joke in.
He's jealous of our freedom. Because apparently we're the only ones that have it. I don't know. Anyway, that's so not true. We're moving on.
No.
I can't help. It's just always I don't know why. We should start a political show and just talk about politics and let me rail and
let's make it through the guise of talking about World of Warcraft.
My liberal snowflakiness and alienate half of our listeners along with half of the rest of the world.
Right.
But anyway, no, won't do it. I refuse. I'm too cool for that. But we're here. We're doing it. We're having a show. Welcome to Merely Setback. Real quick, at the start of our show, we always like to let everyone know that we are a spoiler-heavy show. And if you haven't listened last week, you know that we had our spoiler show for the new novel that just came out, Christy Golden's Before the Storm, and we talked all about that. So that's free game now. And the past few months before that show, we were saying, hey, we're not going to talk about Before the Storm, give you guys a chance to read it. Well, you've had a chance to read it now. So if you haven't finished the book yet, go ahead and finish it up before you listen to any future episodes. And I actually got a Discord message from a friend of the show the other day that was like, hey, do you talk how spoilery do you talk about, like, in-game spoilers in the spoiler show for the novel, or you just stick to the novel? And I'm like, we kind of free reign. That's sort of always the thing. So if you're ever asking, if you're ever wondering if we're going to spoil something in the show, you might as well assume that we do. That's why we went completely spoiler zone, because we don't want to use the brain power to try to be like, did we spoil this? Did we not? And something could be a spoiler to some person, not to others. So keep those sorts of things in mind when you're listening. Soon and very soon, though, Jared, we're going to be live. BFA is going to be live. There aren't going to be any spoilers to worry about. And we're just going to be able to
until
talk
the next the next bit of content is PTR at least.
Right. And it hits it almost immediately, but at the same time, PTR is usually not as big of a deal,
right?
For people, and for the patches, unless it's the big patches, like new raids and stuff like that. The information is so out there. They don't let out a whole bunch of lore stuff, and honestly, for BFA, they haven't put out a whole lot of lore. Heavy spoilers.
Yeah,
there's a few big spoilers, but they all are supposed to happen like it's sort of common knowledge going into it.
Yeah, and most of the stuff that they've released has all been like dialogue here and there smattered about, not really like telling a cohesive story, because obviously they want people to experience the story firsthand.
Right, sort of ideas and things like that, and most of it's
broadcast text.
Most of it's just broadcast text, which means it might leave. There's this idea, Taliesin says that if he was a dev, this is what he would do: is that they would purposefully put out misleading information in the broadcast text and then surprise everybody at launch.
Right.
Which a lot of people are like, no, that's dishonest. It's whatever. It's broadcast text.
It's something I picked up today. Something that I picked up today. Just in watching things around the internet this morning. Apparently there is a theory. There's a theory going around that Battle for Azeroth isn't the actual name of the expansion, and that they are going to pull the rug out from under us.
It's going to be Corgi's
literally like 20 hours before the launch actually happens, and be like, oh, hey, by the way, red herring, it wasn't Battle for Azeroth the whole time.
What's the proposed name by this conspiracy theorist?
Like, for every conspiracy theorist, there's a different name that they have brought up.
I think I think Battle for Azeroth is the best name they actually could have come up with, because on the surface it's this battle between the Horde and the Alliance, right? And we've talked about this on the show before.
Double entendre.
Right, but underneath the surface we're literally battling for the sake of the planet.
Yeah.
Against what I believe is old god corruption, right? I mean, we know it's the whole, the sword, and we're trying to save Azeroth from the Azerite and stuff. But I feel like, healing the sword and doing some, she should be able to heal from that already. But Magni's freaking out. And I feel like he doesn't really know why she's in so much pain. But I believe that sword has just added to an already very injured planet that we didn't realize because it was all under the surface. It's all the old gaudy things that's kind of, and now that sword is just letting it loose, letting it out. So we'll figure things out.
Yeah. And we have all of the which we'll get into this a little bit further, but later on in the show, but we have all of the stuff for all of the pre-patch events, save for the penultimate cutscenes from these quest lines that
we have. The what for the cutscenes?
We have everything but the penultimate.
But the cutscenes, right?
Cutscenes. So, or the ultimate and the penultimate cutscenes, I guess. We have everything. Like, we have the full quest line. We know what happens around them, but we don't know the actual big event that happens.
And that's part of the course for betas and PTRs and things like that. They don't want to give you that information. I remember getting ready to Legion and watching a lot of Novel play beta. And he would come up and he would just say, I want to see these cutscenes. I want to see these cutscenes, because that's how they tell the story. You're also playing through it, so you're learning little bits and pieces. But where those big moments they have started doing in cutscenes, and they're not releasing those. So we can't spoil that for you. Because
we literally don't know.
Yeah, we have no idea exactly what's going to happen. Like, for example, we all know that Jaina's going to show up somehow. She's a big player. Even those of you that stay away from spoilers, I feel like that's some common knowledge. but we don't know how. She ends up showing up at the Battle for Lordaeron, but she's there, but we don't know how she gets there. We don't know really why she's there. You know, we have our suspicions and some things that might seem obvious and some things not so obvious. But even with the novel, they threw a lot of things on its head, like what's going on, what the reasons that choices are being made are. So I think it's really, really cool. And we could spend another entire show talking about Sylvanas if we want to, but I thought we might give it a rest for a minute and start talking about some other stuff. Because I'll
the
defend
2 weeks of news that we've missed.
I'll defend the Dark Lady all day long, and I've said this before. I'll say it again. This is all we're going to talk. I can't guarantee it's all we're going to say about Sylvanas, but just to reiterate, you don't have to agree with what she's doing, but Blizzard's doing a really good job of making a logical through line for that character from her perspective.
Absolutely,
which I think is really, really important. So I think it's cool. It's going to end up tragically for the Horde and for the Alliance, for all of Azeroth, I believe. But what's a good story without conflict? You've got to have conflict. And we talked a little bit about that last time, too, about how they have to continue the conflict. Because after, 20-something years of war, you'd think they'd kind of figure it out at this point. But they're doing a good job of keeping things complicated. And this little thing happens, which spurs this little thing on. And now we have unleashed another all-out war. I don't know how many times in the book Anduin and Sylvanas both are like, but we're not at war with each other. We're not at war with each other. And you're like, but you are. Mm-hmm. Like you are.
The war never stops.
The war, right. That's, if I know one thing, war never changes, Fallout. But yeah, it's been some cool stuff. But let's jump right into the news. We got some stuff, lots of stuff that has jumped onto the PTR. We haven't really talked about the news since the PTR went live. And they've been adding stuff ever since. And I'm thinking we're going to see 8.0 on the live server, not Tuesday, which is tomorrow, as of recording time, the 3rd. I want to think it's going to be next week. What's that, the 10th?
The 10th. Yes.
And but some people are saying maybe even later than that. The week after that, but
I don't think so.
It will be either next week or the week after. Yeah, historically we have 4 weeks in between, and
it's 4 to 6 weeks in between, and historically even further than that. Like going deeper into history of WoW, when we've gotten the preloaded download for the pre-patch of an expansion, it's been 2 weeks on the dot.
Right.
From the date that it goes in.
And
so
the expansion drops on the 13th, 14th, depending on where you land on the international date line.
Right.
And this is a big thing that I think is kind of interesting for lore folks and for people that are narrating and World First. The server is going live at the same time worldwide. So it can be any time during the day, but at the same time, which I believe is going to be, I think it's 6 p.m. for Eastern time in the States and Canada in the
I think so.
Western Hemisphere. It's so, and that's I think it's 3 p.m. Pacific time. So it'll be an afternoon release, which I remember staying up till 3 a.m. for a lot of those releases, because the U.S. release would release at midnight
Pacific Standard Time.
Pacific time. So I'd be up till 3 a.m. to play and then stay up all night playing the game. I had to take off work the next day and everything. Like did the whole nine, just because I was an idiot.
It's funny that we're talking about the launch. It's actually like the launch is happening like I think 2 hours before we would go live for our show.
We're probably not going to do the show that day.
Yeah.
Wait, is it? Oh yeah, because it'll be a Monday night. Yeah, because it's the 13th. So
yeah.
Go ahead and plan on not doing a show that week. I'm not setting anything in stone, but I can almost guarantee you that I won't be interested in doing a show that day. We might have one maybe later that week, like a special episode, or we might just skip a week.
Yeah.
We've been known to do that before. So you guys aren't going to be wanting to listen to us jabber about World of Warcraft. You're going to be trying to play the game.
To play the game.
Right. So keep that in mind. But we've got, let's see, I'll just list the news out right now and we'll go down and talk about each of them individually. But some of the new stuff on the PTR, we've got the new quests that finish the quest line for the Burning of Teldrassil. We've got Jaina's quest line from beginning to end-ish, without, obviously, like I said, without the big with cinematics and things like that, and more. But those were the big at least quest line flesh outs, and these were now these are playable, right? It's not just broadcast text.
You can play them.
So if you're in the beta, which a lot of people are nowadays that want to be, but there are people that aren't. But if you're in the beta, you can go and play them now. Or this is PTR. This is for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it doesn't even matter about if you're in the beta or not. You can go on
the Jaina's quest line in Kultiris. That's beta.
That's beta. Okay.
You have to be max level.
But Teldrassil is part of 8.0. So we get that whole story, which I'm really excited about that because it's still kind of like, what is going on?
Yeah, we have a general idea of what happens. We just don't know the exact events that
we don't really know
exactly
much more than what we did to start out with, even with these quests being playable.
Yep.
Like why the things happen the way they did. And I'm wondering if they're going to do more cinematic storytelling that we just don't have, or if they're not including some of the pre-quests for this, because they're only including the scenario.
Right.
When I played it.
It's a quest line scenario. So it's like a scenario, but it's not really a scenario because you actually have to like physically go out,
do the quest.
They teleport you to it, but they like for the Teldrassil part for both the Alliance and the Horde, you're teleported out to
and you're instanced to a special.
Darkshore. Yes, and you are given quests that you have to complete, and then you're given like a smattering of cutscenes throughout that. And it's all stuff that's done out in the open world, but you're instanced to people, or you're instanced to zones that are just people that are on that quest.
So it's a special zone, instance-wise. It's the same. It looks the same as it does, quote-unquote, live.
Yes.
But this is a special instance version that you can only have access to if you're on the quest or doing the quest.
Right.
So, yeah, sort of that weird, sort of that idea of phasing, I guess, maybe a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But
the other thing is that we don't know what leads up to that. Like we don't know in game. Like anyone that's read the book knows what happens up to that point, but they haven't given any of that in game. The only thing that
I feel like there's some stepping stones that are missing though, because we get to the end of the book and everything's crazy. Right.
There are a lot of stepping stones that are missing that we just have no idea like what exactly triggers.
I haven't found anything about them, and I honestly haven't played the beta enough to figure it out. So it might, or the PTR, it might be there, but not even because I don't want to be spoiled, it's because I am too lazy to do the quest twice once it goes live, to be honest. But I'm wondering if the leveling experience might not have something. Well, no, because it'll be 8.0, so the leveling experience won't be part of it, but. Yeah. I will tell you that I actually did. So one piece of news that we didn't really cover is in live this week, we have retired our artifact weapons.
Well, started the process to retire them. We've sucked the
I was
raw power out of
very disappointed with that because it was literally clicking Magni was the entirety of that quest. I don't know about anybody else, but I was waiting for some epic scenario-based something. We've got to go into the sword and draw and I thought that cinematic that was leaked a little while ago with us all raising our weapons and stuff was going to be part of the end of that quest line. But no, it was just the quest line that we completed that was opened in 7.35.
Right.
With, Khadgar, screwing off and being like, I'm done, bye. You solve
Yeah.
it for yourselves. I was trying to help, and now I'm out of here. And so now we just met up with Magni. He's like, oh yeah, Azeroth, she's hurting. Raise your weapon and draw the evil out of the corruption out of the sword. And you're like, oh, okay. He's like, oh, you've done it, and now your weapon's all great, and you don't need artifact power anymore. Congratulations. and I'm like, well, but where are all the legendaries? Can I it should have started, legendaries should have started pouring from the sword, and then I would have been okay. But give me the last month to just screw around with whatever. Like, everybody gets all the legendaries for just logging in. At this point, I feel like we deserve it.
Yeah.
Because nobody,
at the very least.
Yeah, just give them. I wonder how. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to be gone completely, but forever. I guess are they going to drop randomly during the leveling, or are they taking them out of the game?
No, are you talking about the legendaries?
The legendaries, yeah. Once 8.02 comes out or whatever, the launch.
What is going to happen with the legendaries is they will remain active until you reach level 115.
Right.
So any legendaries that you have, you'll still have them.
So is that the same thing if I level a new tune after a year from now, and I'm going through Legion material and a legendary randomly drops, and then I kill myself because it took me 7 months to get mine?
Because that's the thing, is that the legendaries didn't drop until you get to 110. I don't think you.
But they changed that in an earlier patch that they can drop anywhere from 101 to 110. And I've actually heard of people that had legendaries drop for them before 110.
Huh. Well, then in that case, you would have the legendary. You'd be able to use it through the leveling until 110 until you hit the BFA content, and then it is still.
I hope they just delete them from the game files forever. Just take them out and pretend they never happened.
Right.
Legendaries killed this expansion for me. Well, it's sad because everybody's like, Legion's been my favorite expansion. And man, I'll tell you, Legion has been an awesome expansion. But the legendary system killed it for me. It really, really did, to where I was not having nearly as much. I would have played it a significant amount more had I not had to deal with the whole legendary garbage, or if there were just ways where I could trade legendaries out or something, get the ones I wanted, or you know what I mean? I understand, for a minute it was kind of fun, and getting that first legendary was like, ooh, I got a legendary. Oh, it's going to make me so much more powerful. Some people on my team don't even have a legendary yet. And I'm like, and then you're like, oh, the legendary I got were the friggin' boots for the Death Knight that do nothing. And
boost your item level.
Except boost your eye level. And I had a higher eye level, and I was, it gave me that. But then one of our mages get the bracers and just win.
Yeah,
and for the rest of the expansion, anymore. They're all of a sudden. Well, and that's what from a DPS standpoint, I'm always gauging myself on where I'm parsing, and I was always parsing in the around the 50th, 60th percentile, and I could never, and I'm usually way higher than that. And a lot of it had to do just because I didn't grind the artifact power like a moron, and not like a moron, but like a maniac is I think the word I was trying to use. Maniac sounds a lot more accurate, but and I didn't have the quote unquote right legendaries, and your rotation changed depending on the legendaries. It was just, anyway, we could talk all about, if anybody listens to either of the shows that I'm on, once legendaries get brought up, might as well put a fork in it, because I'm just going to completely just bitch and moan for the rest of the evening, but we'll move on because of that. But so we have the new PTR scenario, and part of that is we know the name of the dwarf, or the night elf. The night elf it's a night elf, or just elf. It's a night elf, but the night elf in this picture here, I'll put it on it's part of our pre-show. But the guy, if you've seen the
it's all the art that they had for BFA at BlizzCon
for the burning of Teldrassil, and there's just there's a bunch of swords in the ground, and there's just a lone soldier, and that night elf is Captain Delaran Summermoon.
In this picture that you have up is
that not
Sylvanas?
That's Sylvanas. What am I talking about?
There's another one
somewhere.
it's not like the the main color of the picture isn't orange. It's I think it's more like
Why did they
blue,
trick
but
me like that?
It's an elf standing, or someone standing next to, or like a couple of people actually standing next to a dead, um, a dead living or ex-living thing laying on the ground on the shore, standing
Oh, I
across
see.
from Teldrassil that's on fire, and that elf, the one that everyone was just like, is that Varisa? Is that going to be
Oh,
Varisa?
the who died?
No. Yeah, it's not. It's Captain Delarin Summermoon, who is one of the night elf. I think she's not a sentinel captain. I don't know exactly what like sub faction within.
Is she the night elf
Night Elf?
that helped Safi get to Tanaris
No.
in the book? Because there was a
what? She might be. I don't have my book next to
I
me,
don't
so
know.
I can't flip through and check.
I
but,
audio booked it, so it would take me a little bit to try to figure it out.
right.
But I'm wondering
And I
if
don't
that's
think it
the
is.
recall.
I don't think it is, because Delarin Summermoon is she's there like from the get-go, like the first quest that you get in the scenario quest line to for the burning of Teldrassil. It's Delarin that you're dealing with, and she's with you throughout the entire thing. And you don't see this on the Alliance side, but on the Horde side, when like as soon as the cutscene where the actual burning of Teldrassil happens, as soon as that quest scene ends, you're on the shore. You're on the shore of Darkshore, across from Teldrassil, and you are standing next to the Dark Lady and Sourfang, and on the ground in front of you is the dead elf.
Dead
And
elf.
it
Dead
is
elf.
Captain Delarin Summermoon. So we have a name.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Finally.
But I knew it wasn't going to be Varisa the whole time.
Right. For them to have done something like that, it would have been absolutely bonkers.
Well, I thought I wasn't 100% sure she was, and especially after the Windrunner comic came out, I knew it wasn't going to be Varisa because
it wasn't going to be either of this.
It's not going to be. No, the Windrunner sisters are going to live forever and kill everything.
Right.
Like that's just in stone at that point.
Right.
Like we know, I know for a fact that one of her crazy, creepy twin sons is going to join the Horde and fight with the Blood Elves. And the other one's gonna, you just like all of these things. Like, it's gonna. You've got twins; they're gonna hate each other, right?
Yeah.
We can't all get along with our twin, like Twin Orgron, or the Eridar twins, right?
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like that's setting something up. And then I have a pretty strong feeling that Eretor is not long for this world either, and Illyria is gonna lose it.
Yeah,
and they're all going to be raid bosses in their own right somewhere. So.
And I can't wait. I cannot wait for that moment. I can't wait for it.
I don't know.
I don't want Eretor to die, but like the prospect of him being dead and seeing the ramifications of it, just, ooh, man.
I think that she's gonna watch Sylvanas kill him. And goes into a blind rage and goes crazy, and then later Sylvanas is going to raise him from the dead. Or he might be that we're going to skip a little bit here because another idea, those of you that have read the book know that light-forged undead are a thing now, not Forsaken, but light-forged undead. Kalia Menethil was brought back to life by the light, spoiler alert, in the book. And she describes herself as being undead.
Yep.
But not Forsaken. But something that, and so there's this thing like, is she going to be the only one? That could be a thing, but at the same time, it makes a lot more sense that it's not. Now the, priests have this power to literally raise the dead to be champions of the light. They're not going to use it. I mean, it's not that like everybody could do it. The Naru was the one that sort of made it happen, but now
And I don't really think that it's gonna be. I don't think that it's gonna be anyone. Like we're not gonna have another allied race come out of this. Is what I'm trying to say here. But
I think it's at least just more justifiable than void elves. You know what I'm saying? Like there is, you could make it happen. I'm not just to play devil's advocate. I agree with you that I don't think we're going to see like a Lightforge undead join the alliance or something like that. Mm-hmm. However, because I actually like that Kalia is more neutral. Like she's on the alliance side, but she's still like going to be in that. Well, she's not alliance.
On the Lordaeron side. She's on whatever side would help her get to Lordaeron.
No, yeah, that's kind of exactly. So she's not really. She's more of a neutral third faction. What? But yeah, she's kind of in the middle somewhere, and she's stuck in the middle with you.
Right, and I think that's the thing that kind of leads me to believe that like my reasoning for there not ever going to be a undead Lightforge race playable in the game is that it's only specific individuals that are deemed
well, it's only Kalia right now.
Well, yeah, but
and the only way it could happen was that the Naru brought Alonsis and Anduin together, the two most powerful priests in existence possibly ever, with the exception of Velen, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like on either side of this thing, right? Mm-hmm. And she, with their powers combined, and I think there was a thing like Anduin's like, you didn't even really need me here. She's like, yes, but you were, or something, you know, this idea of, so they sort of did, like it was more like a compliance thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's like, but anyway, I could see that being a thing, possibly Eritor, but even more than Eritor. I don't remember if we talked about this on this show or if it was CTR, but they've done some work on a particular tomb in, is it Arathi Highlands is where it is, or is it Plaguelands? Plaguelands. That's what I thought. Which would make sense if it was Arathi Highlands, because they did a bunch of new work on Arathi Highlands after the book, where you can go and you can see the tombstones of the people that they went back and buried there, right? Yep. That's what Anduin got together and got all of the, like instead of making a big speech and getting off the boat and trying to do this big consolation speech, it's like, nope, we're going back. We're going to bury the dead the way they deserve to be buried, right? So all of the undead that died at Arathi Highlands, they went back and gave a proper funeral, burial. So you can see those sorts of things, but you can't see in Arathi Highlands because it's not there. It's in the Plaguelands. Uther's tomb. Uther's
got a massive tomb. Rework.
Got and a lot of artwork done to it.
Not only did his entire tomb get redone, the statue...
His statue model
sitting inside the tomb was also updated,
which they didn't even update the model of Illyria and Tyrellian statues when they were bringing them back. So I mean, maybe that's an argument where they just want to make it look a little bit more, because he's going to be an important storyline person talking about the Menethils and all this, going back to all that old war, the Third War, blah 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 blah. And so when people go and see his tomb, we want him to look like a person in the game now, rather than one of those outdated models that we don't use anymore. However, it's not too far of a stretch. If you wanted somebody to be raised again in the light, I feel like Uther would be on the top of the list.
Yeah, I can't really think of anyone that would be above him.
Right. Tyrion, maybe.
I wouldn't
even say above him. I feel like,
like there's no comparison.
But Uther was, I mean, for Tyrellian is, you know, arguably the first true paladin that used the light, right? Which I loved, by the way, in the book, talking about that story when they were talking about that, because Fowl was the one that founded the paladins,
right?
And he said, "I chose you." Not because you were a great warrior, you were a terrible warrior. but you are the strongest with the light. You are a priest that accept the calling of a warrior, and that's why I chose you. And he became the first paladin to use his, protective warrior skills, to and infuse himself with the light to use the light to aid in his combat. After the fall of was it King Lane? I think
No, I thought it was
Anduin Lothar. It was Lothar.
Yeah, Anduin Lothar.
But anyway, so yeah, because King Lang died way before that. But
Right.
So yeah, but for all of that being Turalyon being the first paladin, Uther was really the first chosen. He was the granddaddy of them all. He was the one that helped form the order with Fowl, and was the mentor to Arthas, the mentor to the other paladins, including Turalyon. And so, yeah, I think that would definitely... Now, imagine, because the first thing I thought about when we're talking about Uther coming back from the dead is how disgusting he's going to be. Because he's been dead for 20-odd years.
Like 23, 25
20-something,
years,
yeah. A quarter of a century. He's been dead and rotting in the ground. What's he going to be looking like?
Unless, and this is quite possibly a stretch, the only way that he wouldn't look like a pile of garbage is that so if you've ever been to Uther's tomb in game, it is the only area of the Western Plaguelands that doesn't look like a total
crap hole,
crap show.
Well, because it's been sanctified by the light.
Exactly. So the only thing that I can think of that they would be able to bring him back is that the light
preserved
that
him.
area. Yes, that the light around that area preserved his physical form, at least in part. So there might be like a little bit, like it might not have been like a perfect preservation, and it might, there might be a little bit of like undead kind of stuff about him. But I think for the most part, I think if they ever brought him back, that he would look very, very close to how he did when he died.
I mean, they could justify it that way. I could also see the light reforging his body somehow, like the way that Turalyon's sword was reforged.
Right.
Like his bones get out and are like whatever, and then they start reforging. Like he's just this light, like an entity of light, almost like a Naru.
Almost.
You know what I mean?
And that would be
just like a glowing
insane.
or like an ethereal, the literal opposite of an ethereal. Where his body is composed of pure light instead of their bodies being composed of pure void. You know what I mean?
Oh God.
Right?
Oh God.
And that's Uther.
Oh, what if we witness the birth of a Naru in Uther's soul?
Oh my! He actually becomes a Naru, like Uther, the Naru Uthar or something. Oh,
Uthar.
Yeah, because you got to have an apostrophe if it's a Naru name. I mean, there are definite things they could do with it, so I don't think it's too speculative to be. I think there's definitely justification. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm not going to put money on it, but at the same time, I would not be surprised because it's. I mean, why are you going to put all that artwork into something? They put man hours into making this a new thing, which there is stuff that hasn't been touched since, vanilla beta, basically.
Here's the kicker. For the Paladin art, like every single Paladin artifact quest line has you go to Uther's tomb. They did not do this update for that, obviously, because that was for Legion. That was all done at the beginning of Legion, and anyone that leveled a Paladin after the launch of Legion, they didn't redo any of that when they had literally hundreds of thousands of people going through it every day. Didn't redo it for that. They're waiting until BFA.
Either way, this could mean one of two things to me. It's going to mean that Uther's tomb is going to be a big battleground at some point. Maybe the two factions are fighting over raising him from the dead and nobody gets to. But something is going to be important about it. Maybe there's going to be a ton of Azerite.
Maybe.
There, you know, so that area will be specifically important to everyone, not just paladins. So that might be why they updated it. Or Uther's coming back. Like, I don't really see what, it's got to be one or the other for them to put this much work into it.
I mean, there's infinite possibilities of what they could do with this. But I agree. It's got to be like, those are the two most likely options for what could be happening with Uther's tomb. And I can't wait, because Uther is hands down one of my favorite characters in the Warcraft universe.
I agree. He's awesome. It's good. And we lost we don't really, like, I don't know. We still have Torellian, a super cool paladin guy. We just got him back. My favorite super cool paladin guy was Urel, and they seem to be doing weird crap with her right now. And whether or not we're ever going to see her again is kind of,
I don't think we are.
Which is so dumb.
Yeah.
So dumb.
They put a lot of work into her character and then
dropped it all off a cliff, which is, I mean, it's maybe she should stay not coming back, because that's just sort of like the whole, like, just they're literally throwing the baby out with the bathwater there.
Right.
With
they just
the
like
failure that was Warlords of Draenor.
All the
because the story was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Up until the story for the first patch was great, and then it was like, oh, and we're rushing towards Legion because we screwed up.
And in doing that, they took all of the good things from Warlords of Draenor
and just
crammed it into a burlap
all
sack.
All of the bad things.
Awesome.
Yeah, just mixed it up. It was almost like, I used to get disgusted when I'd be at lunch and like you'd see kids eating their lunch, but they'd be finished. So they'd take like their chocolate milk and pour it all over everything and start mixing it together. And you're like, that would have been, I mean, I'm not hungry, and I guess you're not hungry anymore, but now it's so gross and I don't even want to look at it. You could have at least thrown away the mashed potatoes. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Everything just mixed together in all chocolate milk, and I'm like,
some other kid just has like one Oreo left over and just like crumbling
it so much. Like, I remember that and thinking like, I got to get a good job because I don't want to be a lunch lady, because I would barf if I had to throw all this kind of stuff away. Scrape the plates and stuff. It was just so disgusting to me. I don't know why. But anyway, that's what I felt like the Warlords of Draenor were. It's like, we're done with this. Pour the chocolate milk on it. Now no one can have it. Anyway. There you go. That's that. Let's move on, because we learn a little bit about Jaina Proudmoore, which we haven't heard anything. It was when she's back. Even in the book, she was there for like a page.
Yeah,
she like hung out and talked to her and what's the dragon, Caligos.
Yeah,
they
had a footnote.
Yeah,
in the entire book. And
right,
that's it.
And they're sitting there. And he's like, they're in Dalaran, and he's just like thinking about Jaina, and then there she is, and she's like, I thought I'd find you here, and he's like, yeah.
What'd you expect?
Hello, where have you? What's going on? And then, all that sort of happens. And then she just pieces out again. She's like, oh, yeah, I just came to say hi. I just.
Deuces.
Yeah. But then we see her again in the beginning of some of the. I mean, we're going to see her in 8.0. She's going to come out. She's going to be at the Battle of Lordaeron.
She was a major part in the quest line
for Teldrassil or Lordaeron?
All this stuff. No, well, she's a major part in both of them.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because I didn't see her.
I never got to play through Teldrassil, so I don't know.
At least the Teldrassil stuff that I saw, she wasn't in there. She might be in the first part, but I don't know if
either way.
Second,
she's a big deal, and then she also helps bring us to Kul Tiras. Like, she opens the expansion, and then that storyline begins. The ending of the beginning is we get all locked in jail because we show up with Jaina, and they're like, lock him in jail because she's seen as a traitor. Right. Yeah. And then we don't
killed her dead.
And then we didn't see from her at all throughout the leveling process, throughout everything. We're like, wait, what's, but they have released on the beta chapter 3 of the Jaina questline. Or not chapter 3. That's the final chapter of the 3 Alliance zones. Yes. After you complete all 3 Alliance storylines, you open up the final chapter Jaina storyline
before you get shipped off to the opposing faction's island.
This is, I'm guessing, it's sort of like the end of the quest that allows you to be able to go.
Right.
That unlocks the other island, the other faction island, or the Horde island is what we're talking about here, because it's all Alliance side. So we do know, once again, spoilers, that we are reunited with Jaina. And it's our cunning, along with the help of Catherine Proudmoore, that literally saves Jaina's life and reunites mother with daughter, and all sins are forgiven.
Yes.
For the most part, I'm sure. I'm sure there's going to be some tension still there, and that's going to be some compelling storyline. But that's the long and the short. Right. That's the long and the short of what we've got going on here. We don't have to go too far into it because, like I said, not that I'm worried about spoiling anything, because I've already spoiled the big stuff. But some of the nuances you guys can see for yourselves as you're playing through the game. I don't want to, we don't want to pick it apart too much. But is there anything super interesting that you got out of the broadcast? And this is, once again, all broadcast text, so it could change.
Oh no, because all this has been.
This is playable on the beta. Just kidding.
Yeah,
this is not broadcast.
And we don't have like it's par for the course with Blizzard stuff, but we don't have like the major cutscenes and stuff like that. Obviously.
Yeah, we're still missing all of that stuff.
And all of this stuff, again, this is all gated behind level 120, so you can't even on the beta, you can't test this unless you've played through.
Unless you've got all the way to 120 and finished all the storyline and everything else, which is something I'm just not even. Well, I tried to start questing a little bit and did like one or two quests. I was like, nope.
Same.
Big nope. Lots of nope. Because I don't want to do it. I just don't want to. I mean, I want to play the game, but I want to play the game.
Right. I want to play it live.
I will test it to like play around with the new class stuff and
that's about the extent.
That's
what
pretty
I've
much
gotten in and done.
All I can do
since I got beta like 3 months ago.
So whoever at Blizzard is listening to the show that is keeping us on our friends and family list, we're probably gonna get taken off the friends and family list.
Hey, man,
they only play for 10 minutes and leave.
You know what?
Just kidding.
I did my testing. I put in feedback notes.
I did too. And my feedback notes kept being like, I still can't summon 2 pets as a Beastmaster Hunter. Fix it. When it had a note there that said, work in progress or something. And
right.
I don't care.
Fix it.
All these talents are dumb. I can't test this. This is the one time in my life that I've designated to testing new Beastmaster Hunter, and it's not ready yet. No. Anyway, no, it was all fun. I played the beta. There was a point where I played the beta more than I played the actual live game.
Yeah,
but
that was the same. This at the end of Legion, it was the same at the end of Warlords of Draenor, because I was so sick and tired of Warlords that I just spent all my time in the Legion beta. But the one thing that we got this week, in particular, about the Jaina Proudmoore quest line. At the end of the Kultiris overarching story, is that as soon as you reunite mother and daughter, the city of Borealis is sacked almost immediately, and it goes into I think you have to complete this quest line in order to unlock the Siege of Borealis dungeon. Which
is our defense of Borealis.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And it's
so like, I mean, we knew that almost based on the name of the dungeon going in, that something like this was going to happen.
Right. And it like this in particular, it's like you reunite them after a long, arduous quest line. I think it's like 5 or 6 chapters on its own. And all of it is going through like trying to find clues about where Jaina went after she, broke herself out of jail.
Yeah.
Or, somehow managed to get a stay of execution because she was on an execution block at some point. She just didn't die. We don't know exactly how she didn't die because, again, cutscenes.
P.S. I love Catherine Proudmoore's character. she feels like a Mallory Archer type from the TV show Archer.
Oh,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? Like she's so brilliant. Like I want Jessica Walter to voice her. Like that's what, like so. You know what I mean? Like, but it's I just real quick. I want to like one of the ending broadcast or one of the ending texts is Jaina says it's good to feel the sea air. Thank you, champion. Without your intervention, I may never have felt it again. Then Catherine Proudmore walks up and goes, now let me see if I can do it properly this time. Welcome home, daughter. Right? Like just mother eye, and then all of a sudden, Lord Admiral, ships on the horizon. They're flying over Ashvane. They're flying Ashvane colors. And Catherine responds with, Priscilla has come back from my city. Like just this, she's just so like almost like she rolls her eyes at it. Is how I feel like. Priscilla has come back from my city. Like, not like...
just completely dry.
She's just really... Yeah, I mean, she knows it's dangerous, but it's almost like, oh my God, Priscilla. Oh.
Because, like, the other thing... I was thinking about this... I was actually thinking about this the other day, is, like, we have the Kultirans, and I guess... what are the Worgen... What is the name of the city? The Gilneans.
Gilneas? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I was like,
so Kultirans and Gilneans are like the same kind of thing.
Right. Kultiras was kind
the
of
rest of the humans. We haven't really
split off
seen
of Gilneas in some fashion.
Right. And they're all based off of like very like English, like proper like King's English, like England culture, like all of that's like the basis for
it's a British a United Kingdom, like the idea of the humans in general are sort of this idea of a broken UK sort of but
but we haven't ever had a character that has been hilariously dry. And I think that it's high time.
I really hope. Like, honestly, I just want her to be exactly like Jessica Walter's character in anything.
Right.
Like
just sassy.
Yeah, like what in Arrested Development or Mallory Archer or. She's wonderful, and that's what I hear in my head when I read her broadcast text. And I'm sure the voice actress that plays her does a fantastic job. And even if they go a different route, I'm sure it'll be great. But there's part of me that just wants this, like, you know.
They do a little bit more because there are a couple of
has come
scenes.
back from my city.
Yeah,
oh my God.
And they do have a couple of cutscenes that she has voice lines in. There's one in particular that
because she's so hard. Like that's the thing that makes Archer work is that Mallory is so like she's not phased because she's so hard.
Yeah.
You know, like she's mildly annoyed by catastrophe because she's dealt with catastrophe so often that it does. Like that's how I feel like that's that idea of Catherine Proudmore. She's like, everything has already been ruined. At this point, we're just trying to keep anything together. So Priscilla has come back for my city. You know, the world is literally ending. Let's do this.
I guess.
I'm going to need your help again. Oh my God. Here we go. I have to do something. I better have a drink waiting for me when I'm done. You know, I don't know. It sounds fun, but I like that. I hope that they keep that. Moving on to the news, going quick. Really only have one thing. It's a little thing, kind of a little thing, but there's another secret uncovered. The Gem of Acquiescence, which what does this one do? Is this a mount or a pet or a...
No, it's a toy.
Toy rock.
What this does is you acquire it. I won't tell you exactly where to get it. You can find this out for your own. But you acquire a couple of scrolls that are placed out throughout the world. Once you have all 5 of them, it creates... or I think it tells you where to pick up the actual gem, and when you use the gem, it puts one of the little void
mind benders, yeah,
and a bunch of tentacles like spawn
around your screen. It's looks like the most annoying thing ever. And either way, it's another secret. It's already been drudged up. And who was it? Muffinus that found
Twitter.
this one too. And he just hashtag sorry, not sorry.
Well, that was in response to all the people screaming at him about the fact that it was already found in beta.
Yeah.
And that's something like we've touched on this before because the secrets Discord, they found the big secret, the mount that was hidden.
Mm-hmm.
And at least the first one that we have access to in BFA, they found it, and everyone kind of freaked out a little bit because why would they put that in the...
Like I said, I get it. Like, I understand them testing it, but at the same time, there should have been some sort of NDA, but they can't put an NDA on anything because they don't want an NDA. NDA is a non-disclosure agreement for those of you that aren't hip with the jargon. Which means that you can't talk about it, right? Well, a lot of games did that and said, if we're going to invite you into the beta or the alpha, you can't talk about it because we don't want anybody to like steal our ideas. But Blizzard, because they're like super cocky, I guess, it does better for them. They're going to make more money by generating the hype, and they use betas and alphas as sort of a hype tool and saying, yeah, get it out there, talk about it on your stream, show it, get people excited about this thing that we're doing, instead of keeping it hush hush, which also generates hype and excitement in a different way. But I actually prefer the way Blizzard has chosen to do that, and because that they don't have an NDA, right? I remember signing an NDA for ESO, I think, when I was in the beta for that, and I wasn't allowed to stream it or really talk much about it, or not supposed to or whatever. Like, what are they going to do? Find me? And pretty much I just said it sucked. Like, anytime anybody asked me, I was just like, I did not enjoy it. But apparently it's got better. I don't want to talk crap about ESO, but so yeah. I get why they're frustrated, and part of me feels like they really don't need to test the secrets, so why do they have it in there so people can find them already? Just wait for it to go live. But
in response to the first one being,
I guess you got to put everything in there because
to
find the bugs, yeah.
You kind of do, and that's the frustrating part, because like from their standpoint, they're just doing what's smart for their games. They don't want stuff like that to to not, or for someone to find it and it to be broken,
right? And
then all of a sudden you have an exploit crisis on your hands where everyone's running around like chickens with their head cut off trying to get this thing before they fix it, and it's just a nightmare for everyone involved. But if they do it this way, then they're able to test it. They're able to make sure that the mechanics of the actual thing work. But when the first one was found, Muffinus tweeted one of ? Found. And then not even, I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago after this last one was found, the Gem of Acquiescence, he tweeted, really, I mean, you can't, like the secret Discord, you kind of brought this on yourself. Like you did this. Like, I can't help you here.
Right.
And I thought that was a very, very tongue-in-cheek kind of mentality to have about it.
Yeah, well, it's a thing, but it's there, so it's news, I guess. Moving on. That's going to be it for the news today, folks. Yay! Yay! It's going to be a short show. We're not going to lie. It's going to be a short show. We're missing Shoe Boots. We talked a lot about character stuff and development last time. I do, real quick, we have some feedback that we're going to get to, some of your emails and tweets and stuff that we're going to address on the show, and we appreciate all of you that sent those things in. But real quickly, I want to take a break to talk about our Patreon. It's up and going strong. It's a thing. It's the best. Check us out at patreon.com/setbackpodcast. We're really close to our goal where we can do, we want to do some live call-in shows for you guys. So if you have a little bit of extra cash and you would like to donate a small portion of your hard-earned dollars to our show, we would sincerely appreciate it. And to show our appreciation, we're going to unlock some of these cool ideas that we have for how we want to advance the show. And the next one is that call-in show stuff. So you want to be on the show? You want to chat with us about lore stuff? You want to challenge Shoe Boots lore knowledge? You want to make fun of Jared with the rest of us? Come on down. It'll be tons of fun. And once again, that's not just going to be for the patrons. We've worked on kind of a thing where once we do unlock the show, how it's going to work, and we'll probably have like some sort of system where patrons will maybe have a better chance of getting on the show when they call in. But that will be open to everyone, pretty much first come, first serve, random, getting people on the show and calls. And we like to do those regularly, so more than just once. It's not just going to be a one-time thing. It's something we want to do every now and again to kind of give back and get you guys more involved in the conversation. It'll be really cool. So if you're interested in that, please head over to patreon.com/setbackpodcast. It's also where you can find the link to our Discord server. And as always, we sincerely thank all of those that do contribute to us through our Patreon. We couldn't do it without you. You are our lovelies, and we hold you in our hearts daily. I just stop
Hourly.
sometimes and hold you in my heart physically. I hold my heart like this, and I think about all of your names, and I say them out loud in a little prayer. No. I might be exaggerating
so
a lot.
much.
Yeah, no, honestly, we really do appreciate all that you do and continue to do. We really, really couldn't do the show without you guys. There's some weeks where you have no idea how much we couldn't do the show without your help. So we really appreciate all that you guys do. So keep it up. We're just happy that you're happy. I'm happy that someone apparently likes this show enough to give us some of their money. That blows my mind.
Yeah. Every day. That blows my mind literally on
not because I don't think that we have a good show, but because there are people out there that are so kind and awesome to donate money to a couple of nerds talking about nerd garbage. I mean that's great. Keep it going.
Is true.
Whatever you donate your money to, I'm sure there are things more dire than nerd garbage, but I just think it's great that there are people out there giving money to stuff.
Yeah.
Way to go. Hooray. Pat on the back. Good for you. But let's move on. The second thing I want to talk about before we get into the news is just sort of where are we at? We're about to get 8.0 is about to get launched live. The expansion is just over a month away, like 5 weeks away. Maybe 6.
6 from today.
6 from
5
today.
weeks from the 10th, which is when we think 8.0 is dropping.
This is crazy time. Where are we as far as lore goes? What are we? How does this? And maybe I just want to talk about filling the gaps in a little bit, like those stepping stones that we talked about. Like what gets? Because we still don't know really. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's out there, and I just haven't delved hard enough to unlock it, because I really don't try for spoilers. I just sort of, we come up with stuff that's kind of interesting, that we find interesting and throw it out there. Yeah, not that we don't work hard at it, but we don't want to like, our purpose isn't to spoil the story. But I've not come up with anything. I haven't seen anything on any of my Wowhead feeds or anything like that.
It's tough, man.
What do you think? What do you think gets it? For what reason? So are we consigned with Sylvanas just wants to take Kalimdor, and that's why she goes for? Because there was talk about her taking Stormwind, and that does that ever actually happen? Does she ever get to Stormwind?
She does. She does attack. She launches an attack on Stormwind. She gets swatted down, and then she's like, "Okay, second best option is let's take out the Night Elves."
Because that's the thing I never understood was her attack on Stormwind. I feel like that's the stupidest thing. Like even like from the novel, like how they're like, "What's she gonna do? Open war with Stormwind on Stormwind's turf?"
It's not smart. It's not smart at all.
And that is something that I don't feel like is down her character line. So I wonder how that goes about. So I remember her talking about possibly doing it, but I don't remember it ever happening.
It hasn't, and that's the thing.
Well, I don't remember it happening in game, like in beta. Like I don't remember anything. Like, is this supposed to happen 8.0? Like she comes out and.
Okay, I think that there was a quest line. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I'm fairly certain that there's a quest line that we've seen in which she
I'll have
talks
to ask
about
Shoe
attacking
Boots.
Stormwind.
I'll have to ask Shoe
And-
Boots because he talks about it a lot. But I'm wondering if he's just referring to the thing in the book, because this was in the bonus little first couple chapters that we got from BlizzCon last year in our BlizzCon bags. But I wonder if he's just talking about how like she acknowledges to Nathanos that Stormwind is ultimately the goal. If that's this idea of her coming after Stormwind, because I feel like her actually doing it right now is insanity. But you start with your home turf, which she considers to be Kalimdor. And so she says, all right, we're starting what is going to end with the sack of Stormwind. The destruction, complete destruction of the Alliance. And the first step is Kalimdor. Let's take it. And so she does. And that's as simple as it needs to be for me.
Right.
I don't think she and it's all in her military strategic mind. We're under attack. Our way of life is being threatened by the Alliance. Period. That's all we need to know. I don't care if they're good or bad or nice or happy or want everybody to be friends and want peace or not. It doesn't matter. They don't really want peace. They want peace with the living, and we're not. And they will always be our enemies because they don't see us as people, right? That's where her brain is coming from.
Yeah.
So
But
then,
go ahead. I just had a revelation. So she does send an attack force to Stormwind, but it's a diversion. It's a diversion to sack
now
the World Tree.
That makes more sense.
That's actually what happens.
So there you go.
That is what happens.
And it's also her MO too, because she's sacrificing people. She knows that the Stormwind is a suicide mission.
Yep.
But she still breaks off her forces, sends some of them to Stormwind to wage an attack while she can completely take, because she knows that war she can win, but only if she keeps Stormwind occupied.
Yep.
Which is something that Garrosh tried to do and was unsuccessful at. Like, his goal was Kalimdor, complete annihilation of all Alliance forces on Kalimdor.
He got close.
He got
damn close.
He got Theramore. And pissed Jaina off and everyone else and the rest of the Horde too. If it wasn't for the insurgents on the inside of the Horde, he would have absolutely succeeded without a question.
I've been questing through most of Kalimdor on a couple of Alliance tunes, and if you go through and play through all of the Alliance zones on Kalimdor, except with the exception of like Oldham and Tanarus and the obvious ones, the Horde had the Alliance scared. They had them on the run.
It was they blockaded the entire continent. Yeah, nobody was coming. Like, he would have, if it wasn't for Blaine and Vol'jin and those on the inside that openly rebelled, he would have taken everything. Yeah, he would have taken the entire continent, and he would have taken Teldrassil then. And that's a little bit of what Sylvanas' thing is. You know, her biggest problem with Garrosh's plan was that the timing was off.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't even necessarily the way he did it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the timing was off. It was not the right, and it caused people to not be sympathetic to his cause. She, like a good leader, like a smart leader, is going to get her army on her side first. Garrosh didn't care.
Yeah.
He said, I'm doing what I'm going to do. I'm going to take everything, and then you will respect me as a leader. I don't know how many times in the Tides of War where
that was kind of his
he
MO.
keeps saying, they will respect me then. They will respect me. I will show you my might, and then you will respect me. And he lost their respect rather than gained it, and didn't know what to do from it, and went crazy. And now we have to deal with Shah Garrosh, right?
Well, the exception
Sylvanas
is the exception is that all of the orcs respected the crap out of him.
Not all of them.
Everyone else didn't.
Not all of them.
There were a couple.
There were the Korkron.
The ones under Thrall that were Thrall's, like, I guess, main
But
main dudes.
Etrig was a big no-go. You know what I mean? A lot at Nazgrim, as far as their officers, was really the only one that stayed. And he was against Garrosh.
Yeah.
He disagreed with the things Garrosh was doing, but was like, I'm loyal to my war chief. I'm going to die for my war chief. That's what I'm going to do. And Garrosh happens to be my war chief. And I guess this kind of...
But Garrosh was coming from Draenor, where that was the culture. Where
no, and it was. Well, and even the orc culture, there were... I feel like the orcs that sided with Garrosh, I feel like there were fewer that were actually behind what he was doing. And most of them that did side with him was probably just like, he's the war chief, we're staying. Yeah. And he didn't give the other races a choice to side with him. He just said, nope, you're out. Orcs only. Sorry, we're going to make that distinction now because your leaders have proven to be sniveling usurpers, and I won't have them in my horde.
It's like he built a tree house, and instead of putting a no girls only, he put a
no Tauren. Well, but I mean, it makes, and I see it's just that was Garrosh's strategy, and it obviously didn't work. I'm not trying to get behind Garrosh, but him and Sylvanas have similar goals. If the goal is to completely take the continent, take all of Kalimdor, Sylvanas.
The ultimate goal is to take the entirety of Azeroth.
Oh, well, yeah, but you start with Kalimdor because you have to shore up. That's safe. She's worried about her people's survival, and as long as there are enemies on their home soil, which she believes that Kalimdor is theirs, that Kalimdor is the Horde's. And if you're not the Horde, you don't belong in Kalimdor. This is ours, not yours. You don't get it. It's ours. Everything here is ours. This is where all of our, cities are, except for Undercity. But this is Horde land, and you're not Horde, and therefore you're a danger in our homeland, and we're going to get you out. Period. She doesn't care that the Night Elves are from there. She doesn't care that the Night Elves descended from trolls. She doesn't care about any of that. All she knows is that you're a danger and you're out. So that's her justification for it. And her way in going about it wasn't just to start all-out war and be the greatest commander and win all the victories. It was to get the people on her side first. That's why she agreed to the meeting at Arathi Basin. That's why because she wanted people to see how in danger they were. She wanted people to agree. She wanted Bane Bloodhoof to agree with her and be on her side. Not because she needed it, or not because she wanted his respect or needed his respect, but because she just needed him on her side. Yeah. She doesn't need him she needs him not to be an enemy. So keeping her friends close and her enemies closer is kind of what she's doing. You know what I mean? But she has to keep her friends on board. She wants to make sure that and so she does that, and almost everybody is on the same page with you start to see some dissent from Sourfang. Yeah. But he's just mad because and the thing is she's the Dark Lady. She does things from the shadows. She's not used to being the war chief. She doesn't want to be in the spotlight. She doesn't want to be the war chief. She's proud that she is, but she would prefer to go back to being the Dark Lady and being sneaky and skulky and not having the spotlight on her all the time. She can't hide. Everything's out in the open. She can't keep her secrets anymore. And because of that, Sourfang doesn't like that. Claim what you want and take it. That's his thing. That's the honor. I'm going to take your city. Knock, knock. Your city will be mine by nightfall. Just wanted to let you know. Prepare yourself. Because, you know what I mean? And
that's very much the mentality that he has going through the Teldrassil, the Burning and Teldrassil.
By the way, works. I remember we used to do that playing football. Our coach wanted us to tell our first play to the opposing defense. That was a strategy. He was like, tell them it's coming right here. On our offensive line, we do run plays, right? And those of you that don't know football have no idea what I'm talking about. But, hiding your play is part of the strategy of the game. Then the defense has to figure out where it's going to go, and there's trickery. Oh, the ball looks like it's going that way, but it's going that way, right? We would just run a straight dive play and say, the ball's coming right here. He's going to run right here. I want everyone to know on the defense is coming right here. Let them know, and then beat them to the hole anyway. You know what I mean? Like, and it was a mental game to where once that succeeds, once you do that and it's victorious because you have then said, see, even without the trickery, we're stronger, bigger, better. There's no way you can beat us. And it's a mental game.
Yeah.
And that's the Sour Fang mentality. Tell them where it's coming and beat them to the hole anyway. You know what I mean? Sylvanas is not like that. And so there's a lot of things that he doesn't like about what she's doing anyway, because everything's sneaky and it's, she's sacrificing too many lives. There's not honor in this. She's tricking the Alliance and he doesn't like it. That's, I think, what he's most upset about. She's tricking them. It's not honorable battle, two warriors waging it out, the strongest will win. She's using trickery. She's using blight. Yeah. She's
getting the upper hand.
Poison. It's this idea of poisoning being the most dishonorable death, right? No, if you want to kill a man, stab him in the throat. You don't poison them. That's a woman's weapon or something like this old school. And I mean that to sound horrible, right? I promise I'm not trying to be sexist, but it's this idea of because I like using your intellect. I think Sylvanas is right in this. Not saying I wouldn't be behind Sour Fang too. I think he'd make a great war chief. But that's why he's the most upset. I don't think it's because she's making the wrong calls. I don't think he likes the way she's doing it.
Well, even in the Teldrassil quest line, spoilers, Malfurion and Sylvanas have a showdown.
Mm-hmm. She
calls to him, says, meet me out in the fields. We'll do, shirts off. Let's go. Right. And Malfurion takes up the offer as the battle is going on in Darkshore around him. He takes the offer, flies out to meet her, and is winning. And then out of nowhere, Sour Fang comes up and lobs an axe into his back, nearly killing him. And then Sylvanas says, finish the job, meet me back in Lord Janelle, and we'll finish what we started.
Yeah.
He does not kill Malfurion.
He couldn't.
Because it was a dishonorable thing to hit him.
Right.
To hit a man when he wasn't aware that it was coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the old thing, like if I kill you, you will be armed and we will be face to face.
Yeah, exactly. Hang on. I'm sorry. Hang on. Okay. We're good.
Oh, good. But he refuses to kill him. And then Tyrande says, okay, now you have two options. You can either sit there and let me take Malfurion away, or you can die where you stand.
Right.
And he says, I'll let you, but in return, I'll say you have two options. You can either take Malfurion, get out of here somewhere very far away from Teldrassil, or you can go back to your city and burn with the rest of the people. And
die there, yeah.
So that is 100% exactly the mentality.
It's a different way of looking at honor, right? And that's what she says. She's like, you can die with your honor if you want. I'm going to survive with the rest of the Horde by doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
And that's Sylvanas' mentality in it. So, yeah, I think It's all starting to make sense. And then the response to that is it's completely justifiable that Anduin sees what Sylvanas is doing and realizes that he's not fighting against this honorable. And once again, I want to keep in mind, like those all of us red-blooded Americans out there, this is how we got our country, by using trickery, right? The way of war was to stand up and let each other shoot at each other in a line. That's how wars were fought. Gentlemanly and honorable. And the best in the world at it were the British. Well, we're not going to do that. We're going to hide in the bushes and trees and rocks where they can't see us and where we have cover. And we're going to, that's what Sylvanas is doing here. She's not playing by the rules of honor. She's using blight. She's using, I'll kill all the soldiers and raise them as undead. And then they'll join back into my army because that's how we'll win.
Yep.
We're not going to beat the Alliance going toe-to-toe. It's a draw at best. The Alliance, she respects the power of the Alliance army. She respects the intellect of the military advice that Anduin has and is being given. This war's been going on forever, and she's trying to end it. That's what she's doing. And so, I mean, a lot of people, I know, I promised we weren't going to talk about Sylvanas. We started talking about Sylvanas. But because of that,
I mean, it's an inevitability.
Anduin sees that, and he goes, oh my God, she's going to kill everyone.
I have to stop her.
I have to end her. Not the Horde, but her.
Yeah.
And if that means I have to take the Horde down with it, I will. And that's why he goes to Lordaeron. Or Undercity, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, because even at the end of the Teldrassil thing, the epilogue, I guess, she's talking to you and Sourfang and saying, I just put a big red target right on my back. Like, they're coming. They are 100% on their way. I think that at the end of that quest line, she's saying that she thinks that they're going to Orgrimmar.
Yeah.
I don't think that she realized that
they would go for her city.
Yeah. I don't think she quite realized that at the end of that quest line. They might have put that in. I haven't played
interesting.
It in a little bit over a week, but I think that that's where she thinks they're going.
Either way, I feel like we're at like things, even though there are some missing, like actual, we're filling in a lot of stuff here. It's starting to feel like I'm not confused by what Sylvanas is doing anymore. Right.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like a complete cohesive story is coming together around this, and I really can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I am excited about it. It's not so out there though. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, no, I get it. And I become more and more sympathetic to Sylvanas every day. Like I said, I don't think it's going to end up well for her, and I don't necessarily agree with what she's doing. When I argue for her, I'm trying to put it in a perspective that maybe other people can understand, because a lot of people are like, no, she's the worst. She's evil. She's like Garrosh. She's not. Garrosh was Sourfang's way to the extreme. And what he did was truly dishonorable in the sense that he just didn't care about anything. Sylvanas,
he cared about one thing and one thing alone. That was power.
Just ultimate power. Sylvanas, I don't even think wants power. I think somewhere in her twisted mind, she believes she's doing what's best for Azeroth. At some way. Everyone being undead, we would have peace.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean? The Alliance being over, ending the war, which in her mind only comes at dismantling the Alliance and everyone serving her, whether in life or death.
Right.
That will bring peace. I'll fulfill something. I'll have done something. I will have brought peace to Azeroth. Now, it obviously isn't going to come out of her mouth that way.
Right.
But I think that
have that facade.
I want to say what I think somewhere hidden inside her, she still wants. She's a protector. She was a Rager general. She was a protector of Kel'Thalas, and she failed. She doesn't want to fail Azeroth, right. And she's going to use whatever weapons at her disposal to see that happens. And what she sees as one of the greatest threats that Azeroth faces right now is the war between the Horde and the Alliance. So rather than Anduin's solution is peace, her solution is utter annihilation of the opposite faction.
Yeah.
So,
and really, and truthfully, I don't think that it's necessarily that she wants to see Azeroth become peaceful. I think she just is. She's scared for the preservation of.
She wants a safe home for the Horde, and the only safe home for the Horde is a peaceful Azeroth, and the only peace that Azeroth will find is one without either the Horde or the Alliance. So she's going to make sure it's going to be the Horde. That's her mentality. She doesn't believe that peace is a possibility. If she did, I'm sure things would go completely differently. She does not. She doesn't believe that the Alliance will ever accept the Horde as what they are. Because she's seen it. She's seen it try and fail time and time again. Who can blame her? Jaina is on that same. Jaina is more like Sylvanas than she's like anybody in the Alliance. Because Jaina is the one that's saying the same thing on the Alliance side. She's like, you guys are insane. Peace is never, ever, ever, ever going to work. We've tried it, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. The only way that we're truly going to bring peace to Azeroth is if either the Alliance or the Horde are dead. Has to be one or the other. I would prefer that it be the Horde from Jaina's side, right? We have to kill. That's what she says back in Pandaria after we take down Garrosh. You have your chance, King Ren. Dismantle the Horde. Do it now. End it. Kill their leaders. Force their races into submission.
Right.
Disband the Horde. You don't have to kill everybody, but you have to make it count. You have to decimate.
It always makes me laugh every time this gets brought up, because even her own father's death at her own supposed own hands, it wasn't her actual hands, but it wouldn't have been possible without her.
Right.
But the death of her father wasn't enough for the inevitability of war, persistent war, to really just like sink in, and for her to not realize that ending the Horde is the only way that there would be peace, at least for the Alliance. Her own father's death didn't even bring that realization to her. It took the decimation of her own entire city to bring that realization to light in Jaina, and it always just it humors me.
Yeah.
Every time.
I'm down with you. I'm right with you. It's good stuff. All right. Well, that's going to be our segment, our quote unquote deep dive. We actually talked a lot about it, but I wanted to kind of start putting some things together. I can't wait for what's coming out. Whether or not we're going to see something big next week, or I don't even know what we're going to do for a show next week, because I'm going to be itching to play the game, even though it's not going to happen until Tuesday. But we'll figure something out, me and Shubis, because you're going to be gone.
I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be.
You're going to be
abroad.
in Europa.
I will be for 2 weeks.
That'll be fun. Oh, two whole weeks, and you'll come back ready to play BFA.
Yep.
But there you go. But we have some news. Merely some feedback, if you will. And you can get in touch with the show, too. Our email is setbackpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter. We love to check our Twitters. And if we have any cool tweets questions that people ask us on Twitter, we like to try to get to them on the show, too. And we have time. We have a little bit of time today. So let's get right to it. We do have a couple emails this week, don't we, Jared?
We do. We have 2 emails, actually. One was sent to us before the show last week, but since we were so long-winded about the book, we didn't have time to get to it.
Right.
But, we have time this week. Do you want me to go ahead and read that one?
Sure.
Okay, so basically, fan of the show, she asked us in the episode 25, she asked, what is the Void's we asked, what's the Void's primary enemy that is served by Sylvanas? What or who is so threatened by her? And her answer is free will is the enemy of the Void. Sylvanas gave the Forsaken free will, and she stands for that value. She will rule the Horde as her own will sees fit, and the Void seeks to control with lies and manipulations, and Illyria fights back against the Void with her own free will. That's the true enemy.
That's really interesting, because we talked about the Void is screaming at Illyria that Sylvanas serves the true enemy, and we were all saying, well, maybe it's death, right? That's one thing. I mean, that was Sargeras' whole thing, was the only way to fight the Void was complete and utter annihilation of all living things. That if there's nothing for the Void left to corrupt, the Void is nothing, right? So that makes sense, but I really like this spin on it too, because the Void is very controlling. Right? It's all about being seized by the Void and mind control, right? That's literally a Shadow Priest spell, right? This idea of the Void controlling you through whispers and making you. So this concept of free will is definitely the opposite of control, right?
Yeah.
If you can't, and so that might be the true enemy, that if the Void does see that Sylvanas is in all essence a freedom fighter for the Forsaken, say that 5 times fast.
Freedom
okay, stop. Don't say it. Don't stop. you stop it right now. But that makes a lot of sense to me. I really like that idea, actually, that she's fighting for survival of her people. And even if she's being ruthless in that, that's still, but and like she said, she makes her own rules. She's not going to be controlled by the rules, some orcish rules of honor or some this, that, and the other. She's going to do everything in her ability, use whatever facets that she can come up with to win.
And she's not gonna play by the laws of the universe either.
And it's almost chaos fighting chaos, because that's the idea of the void being chaotic. You know, it's that, you know, it's I don't know. That's an interesting. I could definitely see that being what they were talking about. I think death is still a little bit more obvious one, but at the same time, you know, it's interesting like it. that the void is control, which I would have put the light in that idea of control, you know, and because there are so many rules with, you know, I mean, but you still maintain your autonomy for the most part, being allied with the light. It's not constantly trying to. We have one instance where it was, you know, the servant of the light's will wasn't very important to the light, right? With Illidan, and I mean, there's some other instances of that happening, but it's not. You know, the void seems to be the one that's the most. But I don't know. The light seems to be, and that's the thing. The true enemy of the void might not be the light.
Yeah,
and that might be what it's saying. Yeah,
the void has said that. Like there have been multiple void entities. The Locust Walker, for one, says multiple times that the light is not the true enemy of the void.
There's a difference between an enemy and the opposite, right?
Yeah,
yin and yang aren't enemies with each other. They're the opposite of each other. Yeah, it's different. Love and hate aren't the enemy. They're very related. Well, that's know a different thing. But you know I mean, it's the same. The true enemy of love and hate is apathy. It's not. Yeah, it's not. Love and hate are actually almost the same thing, with a slightly different emotion attached. You know. But
that email was sent in by Vigoro. By the way,
Holy Paladin.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. That was a great question, and a great comment. She goes on to say some very nice things about us in her email, and we're not going to read them because we don't want to, brag. But we appreciate it. Thanks so much, Figaro. One more. Let's get to it.
This one sent in from Frenzal. Frenzal Strongbeard on Emerald Dream. Says, hey guys, just listening to your show last week, spoiling the book. You were asking who would be Anduin's love interest. He believes it will be Talia Fordragon, who is a character that is introduced in BFA. And he also says, deeper than that, what are the chances that Bolvar and Talia are Kalia Menethil's husband and child thought to be dead? That would be a great twist in the story, in my opinion. Thoughts?
Bolvar, what is his story? Is that even possible?
There is no story about Bolvar before the Third War. He was a character introduced for the Third War, and
her husband was a foot soldier.
As far as we know.
Stop it! This is all happening to me just now.
I looked it up. Literally, as soon as I read the email, because this was sent to us this afternoon.
We'll have to get Shoe Boots' expert opinion on this too, because I'm sitting there going, well, I don't know, and she would have been long gone before whatever happened at the. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry, it's all happening. That's Frenzal. I love that idea. I hope that something like that would be a great twist. And I hate that this has already come to my brain that you brought it, because I would have wanted it to be a surprise now.
it'll be like a little bit of a retcon.
Yeah, I knew it. Well, how would it retcon though?
Because the way that it's explained in the book, at least, in before the storm, her husband was just lowborn. They don't say.
I think they called him a foot soldier.
That might be either way. Like the whole opposition to their like romantic thing was that he was
he was sent away. So he wasn't at Lordaeron when the
right
when Arthas attacked.
Right. So, in theory, he was just off on a farm somewhere, but that's not necessarily true. We don't know what happened to him. We don't know what became of her husband. We just know that he was sent away from Lordaeron, and
oh my God.
Whenever she was evacuated from the city, she went straight to him to try to find him, and she did, and they were able to live together for a while. And then the rest of the Third War like broke out, and the city was overrun where they were, or the village where they were at was overrun, and they were forced to get out essentially. So there's not a lot saying, like, there's not a lot of stories saying that this could not be true. The only other thing that we know is that during the Third War, and this is something that we learn throughout the questing experience through I think through Tierguard's Sound, but we learn that that Talia,
mm-hmm.
I don't remember. Anyway, her character, we learned from her that her father sent her off to become a ward of the House
Proudmoore.
And
which they would have had ties to because Jaina and Kalia and Arthas were all buddies.
Absolutely. So if that was...
I'm getting some information. Revan in the chat says all that WoWWiki says is that his wife died during the invasion of Lordaeron. Do they name a wife? Do they give her a name? I'm looking for it, and I can't find a name.
They never do.
Because Kalia was presumed dead during the Battle of Lordaeron.
Yep.
No, they don't give a name. That I've not heard this before, and if Frenzal just came up with this,
kudos.
Good on you, bud. Because that would be very interesting. I would love it. It would be a great twist, and it's so out there. And the thing, reading the book or hearing, I listened to it, but I was suspicious because they'd never name them.
Yeah.
And you're just assuming that, I mean, it's very played up like they're dead. It's written very well to where you're like just assuming that they're all dead.
But they never say.
And the fact that he takes the throne from her brother, like the two men she's loved more in the world than any other, save maybe her father, are the Lich Kings. Like that's... Yeah. Because it was a forbidden love too. Like she married for love, not for her father wanted her to marry someone else. She married whoever she ended up marrying because he was merely a foot soldier. And it doesn't say, it says that he was the regent to Stormwind and that he was, when the Scourge hit Lordaeron, he sent his daughter to be raised away from the Third War. She was warded with House Proudmoore, raised by Cirrus Crestfall, handpicked by Dalen himself to raise her. And he sent letters while they were separated. And she doesn't know anything about her history. She just knows her dad was a soldier and she was sent away. She doesn't know anything about him being the new Lich King.
She shouldn't know anything about her mom either.
I think we struck gold here. I think this is happening. This is my new favorite conspiracy theory, and I think it needs to be on the internet. I think you need to go ahead and get a video out on it before Taliesin and Evitel do, Jared. Let's give them some news for once. When the Scourge hit Lordaeron, Talia lost her mother, and her father sent her to Kul Tiras. So yeah, that totally makes sense to me.
Yep. All of it, all the pieces all the pieces are coming together.
I can't think of a reason why it wouldn't. I'm wondering if, I don't know. Like, what I feel really bad is if, like, all of a sudden, like Blizzard's called out and they try to lie about it. Or I would hate for, like, some, like, red shirt guy or somebody at BlizzCon to be like, so what about this, that, and the other? And they're like, yeah, you figured us out. Or we can't tell you, or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, I mean, they're not going to tell us until it happens. But that would be, with the level of storytelling that they're telling now, and compelling storytelling does have a few twists and turns, right? Mm-hmm. That would be something that would definitely continue to add conflict, and especially if there's this undead living kind of side of the war that seems to really be important now. Yeah. All of a sudden, undead and living is almost as important as it was during the Third War and Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah.
Like, this is, I mean, it's the whole reason why Sylvanas is starting this war, is because she's afraid that the undead aren't going to be accepted by the living. So, I love it.
And I mean,
and now they're both undead. Oh, maybe they can be, maybe Callie is going to be the Lich Queen.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Or she's going to fight her betrothed and lover and husband for the rest of eternity over the souls of the damned. Like, he wants them to serve the Lich King and she wants them to serve the light, and they're going to fight forever. Okay, this is great. We might have to do a whole show on this.
We might.
Thank you so much, friends all. That is really interesting. I'm down 100%. We got to put it. We got to put a bow on it. We're done. We've gone for a while. But thank you all for joining us. As always, we appreciate you. Chat room, you're the greatest. Thanks for sticking around and listening to us live. If you want to listen to us live, we stream at 9:00 on Monday evenings Eastern Time. And that is on twitch.tv/Setback Podcast. Pretty much everything is Setback Podcast. Check us out on all the things. That's going to be it. I think that's going to be it. You can, let's find out where you can chat with the host if you want to. I already gave you our show's information. But Jared, where can people find you on the interwebs if they want to ask you a question about Texas and cows?
You can find me to ask all your cow-related questions on Twitter at prosperity_42. You can also hear my docile tones on YouTube at youtube.com/prosperity42. And you can also find me on Twitch, where I stream every day except for Sundays, except for the next 2 weeks because I'll be out of the country, at twitch.tv/prosperity42 at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, and you can find me at Sharku_CTR on Twitter. You can also find me streaming I haven't streamed in months, but I'll probably start getting back to it again once I play video games again regularly. Right now, it'd just be streaming The Sims, and you'd just see me crying over my life that will never be. But I do have a stream. It's twitch.tv/Sharku_CTR. And I would appreciate when I do stream that you guys come and hang out with me. We need to start streaming more from this channel as well with our buds. We got some plans in the air. Everything, it's summertime. Everybody's, fake job stuff is whatever. But you know how it is. And you can check Shoe Boots out at The Shoe Boots on Twitter. And he's a cool guy, so check him out there. He wasn't on this show. So if you're listening for the first time, forget Shoe Boots. He's a big jerk. We don't need him. We don't need him in our lives. Can't believe this guy in Hawaii. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks for coming out. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope to see you back again next week, where it's just going to be me and Shoe Boots, and we're going to make fun of Jared relentlessly the entire time.
Yay.
So it'll be just like a regular show. That's going to be it, everybody. Until next time, catchphrase.
Catchphrase.
And out. I'll be right back.